Hey, JJ here and welcome back to the channel. So I have some interesting paper currency notes here that I picked up and they're fresh. I mean, these things are crisp, brand new. I went to the ATM, I took out a bunch of singles, and you guys have probably seen some of my videos before where I show you the fancy serial numbers and what to look for. And this is just a prime example of how you can come across these. So I took out a little bit of money, and as you can see, I mean, these things are like flawless, fresh, they smell new, just everything about them's crisp. 2021 series, and it was kind of a roller coaster ride because I actually went back in twice because of the first batch and what I found. But you take a look at those serial numbers up here, and that's what we're looking at. So check this out. I'm flipping through it and I start to notice that they're in sequential order, which was interesting. And that by itself is, I mean, it could be common, right? I mean, it's not unusual to find that, but it does point out the fact that if you come across some potential solid notes where you have, you know, 6 or 7, like if you have a 7 of a kind, if you have 7 of the same digit and then a separate digit that's 7 of a kind, or you can have 7 in a row where you have the exact same digit 7 times touching. Those are great, but you're really looking for that solid note where all of them, the serial numbers here, are the exact same. And if you ever come across that, those are worth big money. Obviously, you guys have seen me talk about that before, but as you see here, it's not impossible that I could have come across something similar, right? And so you saw that first sequence as I'm flipping through. Now I'm looking at 1764, the last 4 digits, 1765, 1766. So as these were counting up, I was actually hoping that, let me zoom in, and this is what we're talking about. You see how it says C138, 517, 68, and then C. That's what we're looking at. That is that serial number that can make these bills worth more than $1 if you have the right pattern or sequence, okay? And so as I'm counting up the last 4, because as of right now, I'm not looking at any unique patterns. And as I'm looking at the numbers, I'm saying, okay, well, at least if I count up to 1776, that Declaration of Independence year, those are known to fetch a little bit of money if you have 1776 in your serial number sequence, anywhere in the sequence. And so as you can see here, I have it potentially, or at least I'm thinking it's going to run up here in a minute to 1776, 1775. So I'm holding my breath and I flip it, and I don't get the 1776. In fact, it starts a new sequence of numbers. But I wasn't too disappointed because if you notice, these are star notes. And it's almost a birthday note or anniversary note rather, or a milestone note. Pretty much you're looking for a date. So you see the month of March, you're looking at the 30th day. And then obviously we're only in the year of 2024. We have a long way to go to get to 6791, but had that been a more realistic year, then I would have potentially have here a bunch of, you know, milestone dates, anniversary, birthday notes, things like that, okay? However, we'll flip through some of these. I have the star note look up here to the right. I'm going to show you guys. This is a replacement star note, right? But the run size on this is actually fairly low, and so we'll take a look at that. But so I start with the star note sequence, and I think at this point I'm noticing, what was that last one? So 91. I'm noticing that these are in some sort of order, and I go back inside the bank and I withdrew like another $50 worth because I'm like, oh man, what's going on here? So I get another fresh batch of singles out, and sure enough, the star note sequence, it changes. You see, from March 30th, 67, the 89s, 99, 192, it jumps to another sequence of star notes. March 29th, or instead of the March 30th, it goes to March 29th. And now we're in the land of 1700. So I'm just sweating bullets like, oh wow, this is a little bit more realistic versus that last 4 digits for a year of 6792. This one's a little bit more realistic, right? 1720. I'm still looking to get something with the 1776 date in it, but counting up, 1721 star note. This is series 2021, as we can see. 1722, and then it jumps 36, 37. Look at this, you guys. These are all March 29th, different years. 1738, 39, 40, 41, 42, and then 23. So it kind of goes back down the other way. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, all star notes, series in that sequence, counting up by year consecutively, which is pretty cool. I think that's like a good 30 to 40 of those in a row. I didn't get that 1776, but the reason I point this out is because it's a prime example of how you can go to the bank, the ATM machine, you can withdraw some singles, and you can potentially come across things in your paper money currency that could be worth a lot more than face value, all because you paid attention to that serial number. Now again, the year of, I had those years of March 29th, about 20 to 30 of these, if not more, counting up consecutively. So I'm going to have to go do some research to figure out what was going on in the Americas around this time to see if there is something in those years around that date of March 29th, March 30th. I'm going to have to go and grab all of my history books and probably some Google too to figure out what was going on long before 1776 and all of the different things that were happening. Okay, so got to do some research, but I still think this is really cool. Again, folks, if you come across a batch of solid notes, of potential radar notes where you're seeing that pattern repeat, and if all it requires you to do is to withdraw a few dollars more to see if you can nail one of those sequences, it could be worth it, right? Because you may come across a radar note or something that's worth a lot more than the dollar, all because of that pattern. You may come across a whole bunch of, let's just say you were to withdraw some dollar bills and you got all zeros, right? The very first one you see all zeros. And then all of a sudden, the next one, it's all zeros and a 1, all zeros and a 2, and it counts up. Those are all going to be, you're going to have the first one is a solid note, followed by 7 in a rows, and then 6 in a rows, and so on. And those will all be worth some really good money, really, really, really great money. And it's probably going to be worth even more if you were to keep all of those together and assemble them as a big old lot. So that is pretty cool stuff. Okay, now let me backtrack. So right now, I don't really know what to do with these. I mean, these are, like I said, these things are like in really great condition. They're fresh. They are replacement notes. Okay, so this star note lookup, right? So as you can see here, series 2021, and I had a bunch of those dates as you saw, but I will just type in. Okay, so I'm going to do 0329. So we have the I, we have 03. And let's change off of here, 1 second. Let me back out of this and I'll type in 0329, 0329, 1739, 1739. We have a dollar bill. We have 2021 series, have that. Okay, we have the serial number in there. We look up the star note. Yes, it has a star. Now, if you look at that run size, for every single one of these bills that I looked up with the star, they had that 500,000 run size, which is, from what I can tell, pretty good. From what I've been researching, anything under, roughly 640,000, it appears the collecting community views that as fairly rare, and obviously as the smaller that run size is, run sizes of 16,000, 20,000, 100,000 would obviously make the bill even rare. But anything under 640,000, from what I've seen, is considered is fairly rare. So that's not bad, because normally a regular run size is going to be 3.2 million, right? So if you ever looked up most of your star notes and you see that 3.2 million, that's standard, right? So nothing exciting about those star notes. But in this particular case, for all of those star notes that I just looked up, they all said 500,000 or 500,000 run size. Okay. So, I mean, that's not bad. So if we scroll down, you see that little arrow where it says less rare or more rare. It's about a quarter of the way through. So it's at about a 25 percentile. Obviously anything in the middle or to that third quarter is probably really what you would want. But again, I mean, I'm trying to consider if I want to hold on to this or not. So curious what you guys think, if this is worth holding on to. But yeah, I thought that's cool. So yeah, every single one of those that I looked up, all those stars had that 500,000. And one of these by itself probably isn't that great, but you put together 20, 30, 40 of these, now all of a sudden you have a big old bundle of them. I think that's a little bit more attractive. And when you consider that, assuming something comes out of the research that I do, if you consider there's anything with these dates, this one just so happens to not only be a star note, but potentially with March 29, 1739, right? March 29, 1740, 41, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That adds a layer, I think, of interest to these particular paper currency notes. So you kind of have two things working for you. You got like a date working for you, as well as the run size of the star note itself. So curious what you guys think. Have you ever come across anything like this where you withdrew some bills and you were kind of chasing a pattern, almost like a scratch off ticket? You had a few losers in a row, so you chased the next two or three in the book to see if you can land one of those winners. Curious what your thoughts are. But I chased a little bit. I didn't get that 1776 date, but I did pick up a whole bunch of star notes and some interesting dates that I have to research to see if they're worth anything. Like, share, subscribe, and enjoy the hunt. Have a good one.